close this summer, I believe. So it's
that's news to me.
It is, yeah.
I didn't know that 20 years ago. Right, okay. Well, I was playing in a few little places around Cork. One place is now the Voodoo Rooms. It was called the Lacey House, and I used to run a little night there at the Dance Club. A friend of mine was in the art college, and we used to show films, and I'd play all sorts of funny music. And that kind of, 50 or 60 of my friends came along, and it was good fun. But then I went to this place, Dominic O'Keefe, who owned other nightclubs around Cork, Reds, and it was one of them, and Coco's the big one. And there was loads of nightclubs back then. So he asked me, he had this gorgeous upstairs room in Reds, which is like a kind of New York loft, with a very nice big sound system in it. And he asked me to come over and play on a Thursday night. Himself and his girlfriend asked me to do it, and I started playing there. And bearing in mind now, this didn't even go late, this was finished at 12:30 or something, but it took off, did really well. And then Sean O'Neill, who was the then manager of Sir Henry's, who was booking a lot of kind of rock bands and indie stuff and that, and he used to come over to the nights, and he really liked the vibe. And I was playing all sorts of stuff, kind of indie, bits of house, bits of hip hop, whatever was happening at the time. And he asked me to come over and said, we'll start a Thursday night over in Sir Henry's. So literally the first night we opened the doors, there was a queue around the block. I was like, whoa, what's going on here? And this was 1986 or 87, I can never remember, 87 I think. And it literally just, after the first week, it took off. It was full, there was 500 people there on a Thursday night. And I still to this day don't know how they all knew how this was going to happen, but it seemed to be right time, right place. This music was happening, something was changing in the world out there. There was a revolution coming, or maybe they could all smell it. But Cork seemed to take to it kind of very, very quickly. Now the other part of it is that people in Cork just took to it like, boom. It was like, hello, oh, fantastic, And it was like, not instant, it was pretty instantaneous, like boom. Now bearing in mind it was the Thursday night, it wasn't a Saturday night. I can still remember the first night playing, and I was putting on a record and I couldn't get the fucking needle on. There were so many people, I said they're all looking at me, and the DJ box was over to the side, like back then DJs were like, they're over there somewhere, and just leave them alone and give them 50 quid and they played some records. And I can still remember doing this, I got it on. And I didn't know how to mix, per se, I was just kind of blending at the end of each track. So I was kind of learning on the job, About 6 months later then Shane came over and joined in as well. And another friend of his, Morgan, so there was kind of three of us. And it started from then. And that was the beginning of it. And I always liked the DJ box on the side. It was right down the side of Henry's. So everybody was looking at one another. They weren't looking at me. They never looked at the DJ. Maybe at the end of the night they might go, yeah, nice one, or whatever. But it wasn't important. It was the purity of it then. It was just the music, It definitely, I think it was just different. People were focused on one another and dancing. And then when they moved the DJ box up over the bar, but we were still high enough up. It was a bit, the Hacienda was a bit like that too, where you were so high that, people could look up and see you, but they didn't all face you. Like kind of fucking Nuremberg rally these days, everybody's fucking standing there. It's like, whoa. It's kind of like, I much prefer, personally, I love when people are looking at one another, And that if you can find some photos of Henry's, you'll notice like they're dancing all facing, the square of the dance floor. And sometimes they'd all turn around if, you played something they really liked, or, there was a big cheer, yay! Or somebody shouted, come on, get on with it, But that was it, And bearing in mind as well, it was vinyl, so we were just heads down trying to mix the next record into that. So there was no messing going on. You had to fucking really focus on what you were doing. But back then it was so pure and so new, everybody wanted to hear the new tune, whatever it was, or the new tunes. I think first of all, it was the sound we were playing was totally different to everybody else in Ireland, say, or even you get guest DJs coming over and they go, woo, this is deep, and we were playing kind of, around, they always say 120, but I think it might have been 122, but like we did play even the faster records a bit slower. I've no idea why. I don't know, it just seemed to happen. It suited us. We were big into building the night. In terms of like, I think in the early days we started at 9, can you believe it? and could have been full at 9:30, but maybe it was 10 o'clock later on then. But we'd keep it really deep, like I mean really, like it could be like 110, 115, and play that for a couple of hours and keep the music down until the place kind of swelled up, and then just build the night, and then build it up to a kind of a crescendo, obviously, whatever time it was. But I think because we kept it that deep, that made it unique. Like a lot of people, some people would say, go on, or you want to get on with it, but that was one part of it. I think it was the interaction. The crowd just loved it. You know, that was unique in Ireland at that time. The main thing is it was residents. We were there every Saturday night for 13 years. One of us, every Saturday night, or every Thursday night, whatever it was. So that's unique. Well, I suppose it opened up a lot of, some opportunities, like to play all over the country and outside the country, because people knew about the night. And then it probably gave you the confidence to go on and, produce. And then through the production, like that moved your kind of career in music on. And it was a big stepping stone. I mean, everybody in Ireland would have known about the club or had been there. Or, people travelled from all over Ireland just to come there. So they knew about you then. So if you went to play in Dublin, or you played in Waterford or Limerick or Galway, people knew the sounds. So it definitely was a big stepping stone for us. And I met so many people through it. You've no idea. Like some of them.
Any juicy stories?
Huh?
Any juicy stories?
No, I'm not into that shit. No, there's no juicy stories. Jesus. Definitely. I mean, seeing like people like Kerri, when you saw somebody like him, you're kind of wow. Like the first time he arrived, he had 3 record players and he was playing the piano, and it was like, whoa, what the fuck is going on? Or just seeing the kind of the way people put sets together. I loved watching Laurent Garnier, because he could build this. Like, I think one of the times he played in the Henrys, we had Stevie G on before him playing hip hop, and he said, "Oh, fantastic!" So he built it from hip hop through techno into drum and bass into a bit of trance at the end, which I was always I'm mad about the trance, but what you're watching those people. So you got a chance when we get DJs over to see Jeff Mills and Claude Young and those mad people playing, and we had Justin Robertson over a lot. I saw it was like Justin. So it gave you a chance to see what was going on. I don't think so. I think what may happen now, since the licensing laws are finally going to be kind of brought into line with Europe, I think that might open the doors again, that somebody could have a business again that wasn't just for 2 hours a night or whatever, from 11:30 till 2:30. I mean, it's ridiculous. So how could you base a business model on that alone? Now, the other thing I think in all that has to be addressed is the public liability. I mean, the insurance costs of opening venues is frightening, and there's something going on here. I don't know what that's about, but I do think if you can say open till 5 or 6, so you could have a night of like 5 or 6 different DJs, or a whole, there could be a live act on first, there'd be something else. So that might open the door again for people to go, oh, hold on a second, there's an opening here. I'd just say thank you to all the people who came and made it amazing. And the amount of people and friends I made out of it. It was a really, really nice time. It's great. So thanks.
Okay, wow, I never really thought about asking myself that question, but all right. I'm Kerri Chandler. I like to think of myself as an artist or a musician, and I don't know, just trying to be the best me I can be. Feeling welcome back to be back home. This is honestly like my second home, honestly, if it's not my first. A lot of this was being introduced to Henrys, and it took me forever to kind of get there. A few things went wrong because of like passport issues and things. I was supposed to have a work permit at some point, and somehow somebody messed it up, so that whole tour, the first time I was supposed to come, just killed everything, and they wouldn't let me into the country until they figured everything out. So then I'm going to guess it was maybe a year later when I finally came back to Ireland. And it was, honestly, it was like one of the best moments I can remember. And a lot of people don't know this. I actually have Irish roots. My great-grandmother's actually from Cork. Yeah, her last name is McGee. So yeah, my family's actually here, so I haven't met them.
So you're coming home?
Yeah, this is coming home for me, really.
So Henry's is a big deal for Cork.
Huge deal. Matter of fact, the person that helped me start the label, Mel Medali, is actually from Cork as well. So Madhouse actually is, my partner is Irish. He's actually from Cork. He runs Champion Records. Yeah, so but it was always my favorite, and musically it was always wonderful here. And it just honestly, it felt like coming home. Every time I come here, it's always incredible, and everyone's so welcoming and happy and energetic, and I love that. And I try to give it back just as much as I get it. Good news is I just heard you guys are going to be able to open until 6 o'clock yesterday. That is going to be a big game changer, because everybody always wants more at the end of the night, and you can't get any. I mean, I think you can probably by that time, 6 o'clock in the morning, wear everybody out by then. You know, but the energy for Ireland has always been up, like really, really positive and up, and there's always after parties and everything else. So if you can actually still keep it going in the club, sometimes we used to do lock-ins and stuff over like Henry's and just parties for days. You know, the infamous 3-day party we did. Oh, I just had so much fun at Henry's one night, and I was telling, I think it was Arnold Jarvis we brought in, and Jerome and a few other people. So the party just kept going back and forth between Henry's and Lebowski's in like a couple people's houses. So yeah, it's just been, yeah, it's just, First Influence was always my best coming here. And it's just like, we never wanted to stop, and it was great. You know, the next day we watch out and go see other people play like football or something. I remember there was this thing at Lebowski's. I can't remember the other bar. It was something called like the Kerri Chandler Cup or something. But I always laughed about it. But I always wanted to see, I wonder where it is now and who has it. I'm so curious. But it was always, I mean, that's the first place I learned how to pour a pint. And when I did Spaces and Places, funny thing is, we did that live there at the second party. Like I had all the sequencers and things. We were just making up songs and things. And Keep One, this is the story behind Keep One of the things I did at Henry's. Lebowski's was a place we always used to go to after, and you know, or before, and just take the keyboards and all this other kind of stuff. And it was the first time I've learned how to pour a pint. And you know, there was a big rivalry between Guinness and Murphy's.
It'd be Murphy's if it was Cork.
Yes, definitely Murphy's. But it was really funny. So I'm in Lebowski's, and the guy told me, I'm trying to remember the guy, because every time I went there, he'd try to teach me how to pour a pint. And you know, I did it, and I was behind the bar, and music's going. So in between me mixing or playing or Jerome, I'd make a pint. And I just had it, just figured it out. And he just told me, he says, you know what? Keep this one and do it again. And that's what the name of the song is, Keep One, but do it again. And that's where I got the name for the song one. So that's our tribute going back from Cork and going from like Sir Henry's to Lebowski's.
That's mad.
Yeah, so that's what it was. Keep one pint, but do it again. Yeah, that was fun. And then we went back to Henry's and made the song up.
That's great.
When I came back, funniest thing, when I saw it was all broken up into pieces, there was like a fence around the whole thing. And I was sitting there kind of in tears. I hopped the fence and took a brick back home with me.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I have it. It's in my drawer. I took it back with me, so I have it.
Do you know about that, Mugger?
Yes.
District 8, again in Dublin, is one of my favorite places. I mean, all of Ireland pretty much is. And same thing, I've known everyone for so long in different spaces and places. When they did that particular one, huge spot. It was an old gaming place, and it was like an arcade, and just, I mean, you get lost in the place. And I wanted to bring Troy over, because he's the guy who actually ended up singing System, just to try it there. And I asked, you know, my friends over, like Ronan, over at District 8, another promoter there, if I could actually do a song in the place. And we just ran around the club. I gave them a microphone. I'm telling them words, what to speak. I'm just making the whole thing up in the middle of the club. And it was just the most incredible vibe. Before, and this is during sound check as I'm going, he ended up performing it that night and System, just to try it out, just to see what would happen. And it was incredible. But I mean, all of these places, same thing, like I said, with Sir Henry's. It's just a matter of the place and the vibe and how I wanted to make the album turn into what it did. It's just the feel of each space I tried to represent in the album. And it was just incredible. But coming home, back here, same thing again. But as far as all of these places, I missed a lot of them. But in saying that, District 8, they're trying to find another space, and then the hours are going to go on. I just found out last night it's going to be a longer thing. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this or not, but I'm actually coming back to do a District 8 party, like a festival. And it's, you know, it's absolutely one of those things that's going to be like a turning point, I think. And the same thing here. I think what happens is once the nightlife and all these things open back up, and I know people are really actively looking for the venues now, you know, and once that thing starts again, you know, I think the whole scene will start taking off again. Because it'll be just like the rest of Europe. And, you know, Germany has, you know, the same kind of thing. They can do whatever in Germany. Once that happens here, I think a lot more people will open up and the licenses will happen. And, you know, you usually come back and they'll figure it all out because everybody has their own private place at home and they're doing all this stuff. And I remember, same thing, it hasn't really changed too much. A lot of people go and party, and I've been to a lot of the smaller parties and people's like back sheds and things like that, and just go and hang out, and you know, and then they'd all come to the club. I'd even come back to the club and play, and you know, then there'd be after parties. So instead of a lot of that, I mean, a lot of people will probably just come out even later or make it extended even further, you know. And I think it'll be a good thing, you know, because a lot of people are just on telephones and, you know, they want to hang out, and the best place to meet people is, of course, a club and music and all these things that tends to happen, you know. And I've had friends for life since I've met here. It's like somewhere in the 90s, early 90s. Still my dearest best friends, you know, and I love coming back here. Like I'm saying, one of these days when I retire, I'll probably just come back and live here.
Aww.
Really, I'm
well,
serious.
we'd love that.
That's it.
That's a really nice thought, though, to think about that there is still a future when things open up.
Absolutely.
Because
I mean, as long as there's dance music, people are going to want to dance, and I believe that's the thing. It's like it's nothing like it. Hearing your favorite songs or tracks out in a venue, and you know, things that you've never heard before, things that might happen in a club. I love the spontaneity that you can have in these situations, and that's all I've ever, you know, that's what gets me up in the morning. That's why I'm excited to come over, you know, because I'm excited to try to see what happens. And you know, when people put up their phone and they go, you know, they show me one of my tracks I forgot about maybe to play, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. Let's see what it sounds like in this place. So I'm genuinely excited, and seeing, you know, the newer kids come in, and, you know, some of the people I haven't seen in years, and, you know, playing with Mocha. I haven't played with Mocha in years.
it's great, though. Well, it's really good to have you here, and we're delighted that you've given us your time today.
Oh no, thank you for asking.
You're an absolute icon to many of us in Cork, and it's nice to hear your perspective on
My perspective, this is home and I want to have fun with everybody. Yeah, I can't wait to start. It's like if they told me to turn the lights off and to start now, I'd do it.
Well, let's
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank
That's
you.
it from us. So thank you very much for your time,
No, I
and
appreciate
can't
it.
wait to see you
Yeah,
today.
and I can't wait to see all of this, and I hope everything works well.
Yeah, thank you so much. Brilliant. Yay, that's a wrap.
Thank you.